Hey, Boaz here with Next Pittsburgh. We're here in the Mexican War streets across from Allegheny Commons Park to check out this storied mansion, the Boggs Mansion, that's about 150 years old. Let's take a look. I'm here with Evan, who's an owner of the Boggs Mansion, and you've only owned this a couple years, a couple months,
Yeah, we've been here October of 24.
but this mansion has been here since the 1800s.
Yeah, a little longer than we've had it. We say 1884, 1888, somewhere in that range. It's hard to get precise numbers
Yeah.
back then. But built by Russell Boggs, and this was his primary residence. He ran Boggs and Buell Department Store, which is here in the north side where Nova Place is now, Allegheny Center Mall. And so this was his home right here where he could overlook the operation down at where Allegheny Center Mall is and oversee the river. And if these walls could talk, some of those great old names, Carnegie and Frick, and even when they were still friends, and they were here. These were card games on the porch. Yeah, this was a hot spot back in the 1880s. So, yeah.
Well, let's start walking around a little bit. So, do you have a sense that this is what it looked like, or sort of what it looked like back when it was built and he was living here?
So this room had to be restored, and a lot of the wood panel we tried to do Jeff and Carl, who we bought this from, who ran this for 20 years, they restored this room with old pictures. It had an opening, actually, where that wall is now closed. That goes into our barn now. But you can see, there was not so much the wood paneling on the lower level, but the fireplace, the touches. We tried to mimic this, and then obviously for decor and such, we've gone through and updated all the decorations. Our team has done that, and which it's a little is some modern, but we want it to still feel like you are walking into this piece of history.
Yeah. Go back in time without the mildew scent.
That's right. That's right. So this room is the parlor. This is the card playing room. That's why for our guests we have this call out here with our checkerboard and we set this up for games. We serve a breakfast every morning. This seat is always full. And we don't advertise this as a breakfast seat. If there's one guest in the house, they sit here. It's this beautiful view out over Lake Elizabeth, out over the park. In this entryway, one of our favorite pieces, it's called blood marble, but that's because of the color. And this was a gift to Mr. Boggs. There was often dignitaries when they came into town. 1880s was still a little bit before uh, Millionaires Row, like on Fifth Avenue. Those were a little bit after this. And so this was one of the more prominent houses in town. So this was a Spanish dignitary, Spanish royalty that sent this back as a gift.
So you like wrap up a mantle and send it to someone as a present?
That's somehow, yes. And so you can see it was pieced together, right? And you can see those pieces, but
Had IKEA directions probably.
exactly. Now this is open. We actually just acquired our liquor license,
Oh.
so it's open for guests, and we're starting to do a little bit more service. But come on in here.
Oh, this is like a cozy little bar in
It's
here.
cozy, yeah. We've got just a short, 4 or 5 seat bar. We've got our team ready to serve. Usually we do happy hours in the evenings. We just had a big holiday party that was really fun to have a bartender here and serve.
Was this like a room on its own before as well? Do you have a sense in the original mansion?
We think so. We think it was some form of a similar usage that was maybe like a small wet bar that would be preparatory for the parlor. The way the plumbing underneath the house was run, that's what it looks like. So it's nice to keep a modern version of that here for us.
And then you've got the dining room over here.
Dining room is where we serve breakfast, and we have one big table. And so this dining room is very original. That is the original woodwork and original ceilings, original plasterwork in there. But that'll take us upstairs. We can go up the princess staircase, which is original. Putting this tree up, which we kept up knowing you guys were going to stop by, is a project. I lost an I lost
It's
an
really
I
tall.
know. I lost an innkeeper in the tree last year. I was doing something else and I heard help, and she was on top of the ladder leaning into the tree. One of the things we redid is we reset this area up here. So we wanted to create all of these seats. We actually, like on our website, we say find your moment, because you'll come up here and you'll see a group that's traveling together play cards up here, right? There's obviously the parlor downstairs, but then they get their own little private space up here. So I'll take us into Mr. Boggs' room. even though we're from Pittsburgh, the way we got to know Jeff and Carl is my wife and I would come here at the end of the year every year, and we'd stay in this room. We would look out over the windows, and we felt like it was this hidden gem. So this was Mr. Boggs' room. He was a polo player, so we've got a call out to that. His desk here, which sort of leans into the, his workspace. His wife's room, we call Mrs. Boggs. It's right around the corner here. Now the wallpaper is new. We actually redid the wallpaper, and even though it has, I was teasing our team, it does have some of that older feel. We had pictures that presented a lot of flowers, a lot of lights and colors, and so that's where you'll see this flowery touch in here. When we go through here, this would take us to what was probably the kids' room, we believe. We call this Emma's room. Emma was the name that was placed on the room when we bought it. It was what Jeff and Carl always knew it as. It's what they were told it was from whoever they had purchased from.
And that's one of the Boggs kids.
That's what we're telling that story, at least. It feels that way.
Yeah.
This is one of those rooms where there was carpet and rugs, and we were able to pull it up and find the original 1880s hardwood and get this back to life. We actually have a third floor, which was originally a ballroom. The third floor was wide open in the 1880s and 1890s, and
they would have events or big balls and invite all their friends.
Exactly. That's right. That was where they would entertain. What we found, and this was Jeff and Carl found it, cuts in the wall. Like, why would there be woodwork up there? And then in the basement were these pieces of wood that matched perfectly from floor level to those notches in the wall. It is actually the dance floor from the 1880s. Whoa. And it was in the basement. And so
they'd sort of store the dance floor in the basement and then bring it up for events?
Yeah. And so as opposed to like, oh, that's cool, we decided, let's keep the dance floor there. And it is weird, but it's a cool piece. So the team's in there cleaning, but you can take a look as you go through, you can see the dance floor coming up off the ground. And that's our executive suite. It's actually got a kitchenette in there. I've met a woman who was born here in this house. Her mother ran this house as a boarding house in the 1940s. And so she's now probably, I guess that would make her in her early 80s. And so she recently walked through the house, and she last time she was here, she was 8 years old. And so she's remembering this, and she had talked about how they used, if she doesn't remember the construction, but by then this was all established as extra rooms for more boarding. And so this is one of our suites back here, but this has all been added and adjusted. Yeah. So around back would have been the carriage area for the house. And you'll hear a little construction from the YMCA crew. This carriage house was built for this, whatever their magnificent carriage would have been in the 1880s.
Presumably maybe horses were hanging out back there too?
I would think so, but these horses, you'll see, were living in luxury. So when we came in the back, and I had never seen the courtyard, and to have a courtyard like this open up with the fountain and tables, this was in the middle of the city to have an oasis like this. And so we have weddings, 40th birthday parties, you name it. And the carriage house was redone in the early 2000s with the intent to open a restaurant. And when they reopened it in 2007, it was only open for about 2 years. Acanthus Restaurant, and it won great awards. Top new restaurant of the year. It was packed, price fixed menu, so it was very organized with their reservations. When we walked through the restaurant a year or so ago for the first time, Jeff had it set. Every week he would come in and clean and polish every piece of silverware on the tables, the glassware.
Oh my goodness. You'd never guess that no one's eaten dinner here in close to 20 years. That's wild.
So we've cleaned up the glassware, of course, but this is when I walked in, this is how it was set. And, we've done some cleaning. We have some storage that we do in here. We have a coat here on the wall that's actually from Boggs and Buell. This is part of what they did, was selling these semi-custom made mink coats. And so this opened with a French theme. It was run by the owners at the time and a friend of theirs who was a chef. After about a year, honestly, a year of a highly successful business, they closed it like a time capsule. So it only seats. It's a smaller experience. It seats about 25 on this first floor, but it creates a beautiful, intimate experience here. And we're excited. We've been talking with some amazing restaurateurs in town who have come through the space recently. We're working on some concepts that I think hopefully as soon as this spring summer this will be reopened back here, and we can get into it. And we found one of their menus from the Price Fix. This is about 20 years old. Only $65 you get this 6-course menu. So
It's a pretty good deal.
and 65 was a pretty premium dinner in 2000, 2005, 2006, right? Well, 2007 is when they opened. One of my favorite pieces is this Boggs and Buell piano. You can actually see Boggs and Buell written on there.
This piano was from the department store?
This piano is from the department store. Now it's a little out of tune, right? We got to do some work on it, see if we can bring it back to life. But you can see the Boggs and Buell stamp right there on the front of it. We refinished the upstairs a little more modern, just for our own offices, for administrative and that sort of thing.
Well, Evan, thank you so much for the tour. And if people want to stay, they can, certainly come and spend the night here. You're booked for the draft.
The draft is busy. You can go to bogsmansion.com. We do. That was one of the things. It always used to be you had to either walk in the door or find a hidden phone number to make a reservation in the past. So we are on the internet, and find us at bogsmansion.com. Come stay with us. And we have a lot of Pittsburghers who are looking for just a night away, a little retreat. Come experience some history.
And stay tuned for a new restaurant coming soon, maybe.
Yes, come see us. We'd love to see you.